And welcome back to Monte Carlo. They've had some pretty big parties here over the last couple of days, and I would think that the champagne corks might well be popping around the McLaren area for that man, Mika Hakkinen. But just looking at the Drivers' Championship, Tony, I mean, he's landed a very heavy blow today, isn't he?
He certainly has. I mean, he's by no means clear anything can happen in Formula One, but it is a major blow to David Coulthard and his championship hopes. I think he'll be demoralised today, temporarily, and I think he'll bounce back. He has to bounce back. He's a fighter by nature. It's just unheard of, really, for a Mercedes engine to go like that, and especially if he's right that there was a piston sticking out the side of the thing. That really is very bad news. Those cars have been almost bulletproof this year, and David, as you saw, he was driving very well early on, having to go over the curbs there. He was really trying to stretch himself, but there it is, confirmation, and flames actually shooting out the back of that British-built Mercedes engine built by Ilmor in Northampton there. And as I say, they are normally the epitome of reliability. Every component in the engine, on the car and on the gearbox, it's like they found out after Mika Hakkinen's gearbox had gone, you know, in Italy. They found out that it was actually a road component that came from the Far East, just a simple little bearing, but they were able to trace it. I dare say they'll get right to the bottom of every last nut and bolt that went in that engine. I mean,
that's just miserable luck for David Coulthard, because I know he's getting really, really frustrated at being second all the time, and he really gave it everything he had here.
Yeah, and because I'm not saying desperation's creeping in, but he said to the British press over at his place the other day, I am now desperate to turn this around, especially here in my backyard. I don't know whether he's going to stay around. I think as a team player he'll stay around and share the champagne and pat the backs, but he'll be hiding all his emotions. He'll probably crawl back to his apartment just over there and maybe have a drink of poison or something instead of champagne. But bad news for him, I'm afraid.
Well, we had Eddie Irvine up there on the podium today, and he so often gets overshadowed by Michael Schumacher. He was on the podium here last year. He's had a really consistent season and an excellent drive from him today, Tony.
3 third places now, and who'd have thought that he made it through, because he's had 2 big shunts here at the Monte Carlo this year. And just to show you what was happening, look at this. He sees a little bit of daylight, and Eddie Irvine's inside Frenson there, forces him to go wide, but that was totally legitimate yet again, and that's the only way that you can really get past at Monte Carlo, and Eddie ends up with that 3rd place, and I think it's brilliant for him. And you and I were talking to him about his back problems earlier in the year. He's got to the bottom of it. He was white-knuckling, and he was clenching up to try and get himself over the bumps. He's loosened the thing up, he's had various physio, and he's okay, but I dare say after all the shunts and today, he'll be very stiff. I
think he will be pretty sore when he's going to need his sister Sonia sort of work on that, the Ferrari physio, isn't he? We saw an overtaking manoeuvre there, and for those people out there who say we never see any overtaking in Formula One, a magnificent dice between Michael Schumacher before he sadly left the scene and Alexander Wurz.
I think this shows the rivalry between the Austrians and the Germans. Those of us that have been skiing both ultimately had problems because of that. Wurz then later retired and Schumacher came out. Is that Wurz laid down the mark to the other drivers, don't mess with me, I'm a class act, you know, I'm going to hold my ground. And he said that to James as well, which was nice to hear. I'm a fighter.
Absolutely, and a very, very big star in the making, as we've been saying. But Michael Schumacher, though, I mean, if we can speculate, if it had stayed around and he hadn't damaged the Ferrari in that instant, you could have seen him on the podium here, couldn't you?
You would have seen him on the podium, but you'd have also seen him start to eat into the lead of Mika Hakkinen, because here he is mighty. You don't win 3 times in 4 years without being an absolute superstar around here. As I say, the cream comes to the top at Monte Carlo, the very best drivers, like Ayrton Senna winning 6 times. Schumacher would have flung it round the place. And the fact that he was prepared, and Ross Brawn and the rest of the Ferrari guys, to fix the car and go back out there on the off chance that maybe there was a point in the offing. As we said at the beginning of the programme, we've had, you know, 4 only finishing in 96. Why not? It was a gamble.
Well, once again, the old road sweeper's going to have to clear up a fair bit of debris around the streets tonight, aren't they? And Alexander Wurz, his race ended, and good news that he's okay, because it was a nasty one.
It was a very big one. We've got to remember that they're coming through the tunnel at something like 170 miles per hour. So
on board now.
He was wellying into the Armco barrier there, and there's the steel barrier, the steel trap right at the edge of the track, sucks the car in, takes the left front off. He's sitting in that tub, just waiting for the impact. There it is, cushioned the blow. And that's very bad. The same place where Wendlinger went in. Wendlinger went in sideways in '94 and banged his head on there. Now, the other thing, about Wirtz is he's the tallest driver in Grand Prix. He has to have physio after every race, before every race. If he doesn't, he's going to have severe back trouble. That's what the doctors have told him. So that won't have done him a lot of good.
Just moving on to the other Benetton driver, to Giancarlo Fisichella. I mean, his hero Sly Stallone was here, and he gave a heroic performance, one of the best drives of his career, because people reckoned he wasn't strong enough to last round here.
Well, it was based on last year's performance, because when the wet came down, he started from 4th place. He got through to 6th at the end, but a lot of the drivers went past him, and they thought, he's not going to make it. That's why they call him Fisico. It's about his physique, and it's actually a compliment in Italian when they call you Fisico. It means you've got a good physique. But he is very whippet-like. There's no meat on him whatsoever.
Amazing how he survived this one, though.
It is amazing how he survived this one. Now, this shows his, future stardom. We know he's marked out for a future world champion, but it's his deft touches. He actually nudges the barrier on the inside of La Rascasse, which put the tail around. That actually got him into an early gyration. But he must have caught the engine so quickly to squirt it back around and get away with that. That's a future world champion.
OK, well, let's have a word with the Benetton team boss, Dave Richards, shall we? And Dave Richards is talking now down below to James Allen.
Well, Dave Richards, what an eventful day. First of all, Fisichella, who crashed this morning, he repaired the car and he's come through second.
No, he's just driven. This weekend's been about him, actually. He's had a bad start to the season. He's really got his confidence back, and, Alex has driven a great race as well, apart from the incident at the end, which I don't honestly think was his fault. But for Fizzy, I'm so pleased for him. He's back on form again.
Tell us a little bit about that Wirtz thing, because obviously you must be very proud of him, the way he attacked Schumacher.
Yeah, he defended his position very well, and that's how they're going to behave the whole year. Not unfairly, mind you, but just sensibly. And I think, unfortunately, the accident caused some damage on the front of the car, and that resulted in his ultimate demise.
Great drive, thanks.
It was an excellent drive. Martin Brundle's done a little spot of mountain climbing to join us up here. Welcome, Martin. Just talking about those two young guys at Benetton, about Fisichella and Wirtz. I mean, they've confirmed today they're two very promising guys.
Yeah, there's a good wave of young drivers in Formula One now, and some more knocking on the door. But I mean, that's something to talk about down the pub tonight, and a lot of people will. Should Wirtz hold his ground and be out of the Grand Prix, or should he, live for another day? And it's a difficult call. Yes, psychologically, Michael now knows where he stands with Wirtz, and Michael was very good at doing that when he first came into Formula One, of course. But, Wirtz could have had a podium.
Yeah, but while you had the climbing irons on, we were chatting about that particular incident. And I mean, from Wirtz's point of view, a relative newcomer into the game, to sort of take on the big daddy like that, I mean, it shows he's got no fear of anybody.
He's got a lot of confidence. I remember I did a test for Benetton last year, and I sat talking to Gerhard Berger. Alexander Wirtz was sort of the kid around the place, just coming up test driving with him. Yeah. And he waltzes in and sits straight down and interrupts our conversation.
And on what happened to Alexander Wirtz in the tunnel, we didn't actually see the start of it all, but that too could have been pretty nasty.
That is the worst accident you can have around here. To lose it in the tunnel, there's no control. There's quite a nasty turn in there, as you know, and it's all downhill from there. And there was, instinctively, you do keep turning the steering wheel, but he had no wheels left, did he, of course?
And, I mean, Michael Schumacher, right at the end there, I mean, he almost denied Deniz his points, didn't he? What did he make of that?
Bit of desperation, I think, wasn't it? What was he doing on the last lap of the race? I mean, he had started putting in a spurt of very fast laps, 23s, and there he is, comes up the inside, and Deniz, probably not even realising Deniz was in a point-scoring situation. And then, all credit to Michael, he sacrificed his own car there rather than run into Deniz. It was his fault, and he a bit ambitious on the last lap, really.
Again, myself and Tony were talking before we were here. I'm interested to get your views on the overall scenario now, because David Coulthard really needed something here to stop Mika Hakkinen moving away, and he's opened up a sizable gap this afternoon, hasn't he?
Absolutely right. I mean, nothing DC could do about it, of course, just like nothing Mika could do about his gearbox problem in Imola. I mean, we've had, 12 starts now for the McLarens and 10 finishes. Pretty good record. 1 each failures. That's the way it's going to carry on. It's inevitable, the law of averages. But by halfway through the season, I mean, David's got to come back very quickly. Otherwise, he'll have to start playing the buffer, and they'll start putting him in between Mika and Schumacher to confirm the title. So, critical time for David's championship chances, albeit he drove very well this weekend.
By the way, the last time a Finn won here was in '83, which was Keke Rosberg, who's actually the manager of Mika Hakkinen. And I can't remember when 2 Finns were in the points like that together. It's a great day for Finland.
Absolutely. Okay, there's still plenty to come from us here, including that competition. Whatever you do, don't miss that. But when you rejoin us, we'll be chatting to the top 3 in the press conference. See you for that. And welcome back to Monte Carlo. Häkkilä and Irvine, the 1, 2, 3. The press conference is taking place just below us, and let's hear what the top 3 have got to say.
Just over there, and maybe have a drink of poison or something.
You also took pole position and fastest lap. How does this rate as a successful Grand Prix weekend?
This weekend was just unbelievable. More or less like a Spanish Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago. I was not as strong here than I was in Spain, Barcelona, but obviously Monte Carlo, the track is shorter, more things are happening, and you are more likely to always to stuck on traffic or something, so you not necessarily always to be able to maximize your lap time. But this race, for me, obviously, I don't think I realized it yet myself how much it means to me, but I'm sure later on today, later on tonight, tomorrow, day after, I was starting realizing how important this was for me. And I mean, winning Monte Carlo is always a dream, always has been a dream. I think it's most of the Grand Prix drivers' victory of the Monte Carlo is something very special for them, and this now happened to me, and it's just hard to believe it yet. But I never could do this alone. There was plenty of people from the team, close friends, who've been able to make this happen today.
You made a clean start, and then you had David following you for the first half of the race. Once he retired, were you worried about your car?
Yes, during a race, yeah, automatically, particularly when you're in the lead, you start worrying about your car, because everything looks fantastic, everything feels good, but still you start wondering about the tires, about the engine, about everything really, and you start wondering, is it going to be reliable to the end? And I had an incident in a race in exit of Raskas. I clipped the inside curb, and that happened quite early in the race, and I was quite worried about it, about the car. Did it damage something in the rear suspension or something? But I tell you, thanks for the team and thanks for the boys who's been waking up early morning and building for us a suspensions in a car, response in a car which is strong and able to take a little things like that, and you know, great job.
You made your first pit stop, or your only pit stop on lap 29. Was that planned, or how was your strategy?
Well, everything went according to plan. I understood that time there was no problems. Team called me in and everything was pretty cool.
Well done, Mika, on your first victory in Monaco. Giancarlo, you also had a fantastic race. You finished second in Belgium last year, so today's result must be wonderful for you.
Yeah, of course. It's a great result for me. My target was get on the podium. The third position was fantastic for me. I'm second. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I like a lot the circuit, and I won in Formula 3. This year I finished second in Formula 1. It's great for me.
What happened towards the end of the race? Because you also had a spin.
Yeah. I touched the curb inside the Raskas corner, and I spun, but there was quite big gap between me and Eddie, so I was very lucky.
Well done, Giancarlo. Well, Eddie, you were third here last year and your third podium finish of the season. Was it a hard race for you?
Was at the start. I got stuck behind Frenson, and I knew he was on the soft tyres, so I had decided I had to get past him, so I just dived down the inside of the hairpin. The two of us sort of made a bit of contact, but I managed to keep going, and Heinz didn't. for a change. Anyway, and once I was past him, it was a pretty lonely race, really. You know, I couldn't really make any headway to the Benettons, and I left the pit stop really, really late with a lot of fuel on board at the start of the race. So pleased to get third, but a bit disappointed by the actual overall performance.
When you clashed with Frentzen, were you worried that you damaged your car at all?
Yeah, because we did hit reasonably hard, I have to say, but immediately the car felt no problem through the first couple of corners I'd gone through after the incident, and pretty confident nothing had happened.
Now, the Ferrari have made a few changes to the car for this race. Are you hopeful for your chances in Canada, or are things looking a little worse than maybe you thought before?
Well, I thought coming here would do better. You know, Bridgestone seemed to have a good softer tyre. Didn't seem to work out that way. The soft tyre was a bit too soft, and the hard tyre wasn't quick enough in qualifying. But I did some testing in Magny-Cours last week, and we came up with some new tyres, and I think hopefully Canada will be a different story.
Well done, Eddie. Alistair Watkins asking the questions there. I'm delighted that another mountaineer's reached us up here. Tom Walkinshaw, headman and arrows. Tom, very well done. Two men in the top six. I mean, the best day of your season beyond any doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been difficult the season we've been having, but you know, it's good to get the cars home, and this is a very difficult circuit, and the guys have worked very, very hard and done a good job.
How important is it for you as a team boss to win here, or not to win here, to get a result like this here, of all places?
I think it's very important for the morale of the team. You know, everyone's worked very hard all the way through the winter and in the first races. When we didn't get a finish, other than Imola, we didn't get a point. You know, it's difficult to keep the spirits up, but when you get two cars home here, then everyone knows that the car's getting strong and the performance is getting better, and hopefully that will lead on to better things.
Mika Häkkinen alluded to it in the press conference there about the teamwork that's involved. Just give people out there some idea of how hard, for instance, your Arrows guys work throughout a weekend like Monaco.
Well, Monaco's particularly difficult because you're separated from the transporters and what have you, and you have no garages, so every time you go out to practice, you've got to transport all the equipment from the garages in the harbour out to the pit lane. There's a lot of people here, a lot more public around, so you're always tripping over someone, as you well know.
Yes.
And you know, it just is quite a unique race, so it puts a lot of extra pressure on. The hours are long here because the circuit's so demanding. The cars do take a lot of wear and tear, so you literally have to go through every single nut and bolt and crack test it, check everything every time the car runs. So the workload here is probably, I would say, 50% higher than it would be even in a normal Grand Prix.
What's the reality, Tom, for a team boss on a Monday morning? You have a difficult weekend, are the sponsors screaming at you down the phone? Are you expecting complimentary faxes tomorrow? Does it really operate like that? Is it on a weekend-by-weekend basis?
I think, you know, for people who are following the team and supporting the team, then of course it works on a weekly basis, and you know, if you have a good result, they're happy, and if you have a bad result, they're obviously disappointed. If you're running the team, good or bad, you've got to figure out how to improve it, because that's the only way that you can actually improve your performance for the next race meeting. So for the top engineers and the designers, myself, a Monday morning is a morning of analysing everything that went right and things that went wrong, and trying to figure out how to do it better.
Well, a few things went right for your man Mika Salo today. Mika finishing in 4th place, and he's chatting now to James.
Well, Mika Salo, you are the star of the day. Another fantastic drive at Monaco.
Yeah, it's a good place for me every year, so I was hoping somebody to fall off on the last lap, so I would have been on a podium, because that was the plan this weekend, but didn't really quite work out.
How come you were so competitive here?
I don't know, it's just I really don't know. I just managed to be without hitting anything all weekend, and I think that's it.
Where do Arrows go from here this season? Can you keep this form up?
I hope so. Next one is Canada with the long straights. I think it will be a bit of a problem for us, actually.
Enjoy your party tonight.
Yeah, you enjoy the good times in this sport, don't you? Can you explain why a circuit like this, why someone like Mika should really go well here consistently?
Well, I think, you know, that it's no secret that we're down in power compared to the top teams, and I think our engine's very drivable. It's very flexible at the bottom end, so it's quite driver friendly. So it makes it much easier for the drivers to balance the car, and I think with good balance all weekend, you could see that in our car. It wasn't hopping around anywhere. It was just glued to the ground. And of course that gave the guys confidence to just keep running off the laps all the time and not making mistakes. But when we go to Canada, then we need horsepower, and you know, we're probably about 60-70 horsepower down at the moment, and that'll tell there.
Points are very, very precious to a team like yours, and right at the end it looked as though Michael Schumacher might rob Denise of his points, didn't it?
Yeah, I was going to have a word with my son. I didn't.
What do you make of this one then, Tom?
Yeah,
I look stunned at the moment.
I don't really know what he was thinking of. But, you know, I suppose for someone like Michael, he's had a really frustrating weekend one way and another. And, you know, that just sort of finishes off a frustrating weekend. I'm glad he didn't hit my car, though. I don't think I'd be quite so relaxed about it.
Right, I'm not sure you'd have been up here if he had done, to be quite honest.
Well, I might have been up here, but I wouldn't have been as relaxed as I am at the moment.
No, absolutely. I mean, just sum it up for us. What points like this mean to a team like yours?
Well, it means a lot, obviously, you know, to be, you know, more than a third of the way through the season and not having any points, then you do get down, you know, and it gets to everyone. But I think, you know, you come away from this now with a handful of points, and it really lifts everybody in the entire team, and they'll all just try that bit harder, which makes the whole job that bit easier. And you get some momentum, and it's like any team. Once you get a little bit of momentum going, then you start achieving things that you didn't think were possible before.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend for you. Very well done indeed, Tom. Just moving across to you, Martin. There was an incident involving the Jordans that caught your eye. We weren't quite sure what was going on between the two guys, between Damon Hill and Ralf Schumacher. What did you make of it?
Well, Damon was over courteous, letting a car lap him, wasn't he, and gave Ralf a run at him. Ralf tried to go around the outside. He's gained a place, even though they're running right at the back of the field, and he has to let Damon back through, and it all just pretty much summed up the state of play there. And I mean, today's going to be doubly irritating for Damon because he's walked out of the Arrows team to go to Jordan, of course, and Arrows have two cars in the points.
Absolutely. Well, let's just see what the Jordan team boss, Eddie Jordan, made of what's been another frustrating weekend for his team.
Eddie, how do you explain your Monaco weekend?
I think it was about disaster, is about the closest word that you can get to that. It was a very, very difficult weekend right from the very beginning. We never really quite got on top of all the different problems that we've had. It's one of those weekends really that you need to forget. It is quite a special circuit, but there really are very few excuses, and we have a lot of thinking to do and make sure we sort ourselves out for Canada.
I know you said yesterday, maybe you were joking, but you said yesterday that your mother could walk round this circuit faster than your cars were going. Why have they been so slow here?
A number of different reasons, and I think it's probably correct at this moment not just to pinpoint them because I'm not exactly sure, but there are some problems, and problems that we can sort out. They're not so insurmountable, but nevertheless they have brought to a head here, particularly at Monaco.
Canada's always been a very lucky race for George. Do you think things might change there?
Well, we've also got the added advantage of Honda prepared a new engine starting in Canada. That should be an advantage, and you know, Canada, as you rightly say, has been always a lucky circuit for us. Monaco has never been, so maybe we can change that next year, but right now we've got things to sort out for now.
Louise Goodman asking the questions there. I mean, Martin, I don't think anybody at Jordan would have expected to have gone half a dozen races in '98 and not notched a single point.
No, I mean, I know the guys well. I drove for them for a year, and they have the skills in the team. Maybe they just need refocusing and maybe some fresh blood in. Maybe at management level at Jordan or something like that, because they keep changing the drivers and it's not making the difference. They need to change something else because clearly it's not working, and that's their best shot at the '98 regulations when they had some time to build up on it, and clearly it's not working, and what are they going to change?
Yeah, you would know that out there are literally millions of people who Formula One in Britain means one thing. It means Damon Hill, and he's just finding it so hard to deliver with the package that he's got.
You have to dig deep. It's all you can do, and it is doubly difficult for Damon because he's dropping so far down, and that's when you they say never burn the bridges on your way up because you're going to need them on your way down.
Yeah.
And now he's going to have to really dig deep, use his experience, and try to motivate the team and somehow try to keep it together, because this is a crucial moment. They could all fall apart here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one man who's very much on top of the Formula One world at the moment is Ron Dennis. Ron Dennis, of course, the team boss at McLaren, who are really in charge.
Okay. Ron, another joyous day for Mika.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend. A lot of disappointment for David. 1-2 is good, but first is pretty good too. But it's got a special place for us.
Is it extra special to win at Monaco?
It's our 10th win. That's very special to us.
And what can we expect in Canada?
I'll start thinking about that tomorrow.
Maybe the 11th win.
I hope so.
You wouldn't bet against it, would you? Let's just confirm the result here for you at Monte Carlo. There we go. Hakkinen, Fisichella, Irvine, Salo, Villeneuve and it's 2 arrows in the top 6. But Hakkinen and McLaren, the big winners. And the Drivers' Championship, that's a big gap now. 46, Hakkinen, 29, Coulthard. Michael Schumacher on 24 and Eddie Irvine improving to 15. And the constructors, you can see why Ron Dennis has that satisfied glow looking at that. McLaren on 75 and Ferrari on 39. And Martin Brundle, I took an overall view of the state of play looking at those facts and figures.
Well, obviously Hakkinen now has got a lead to defend and the other guys have got nothing to lose. They've got to go for it. A lot of frustration for Michael Schumacher because lots of speculation he may want to join Mercedes-Benz next year, and days like this will put pressure on everybody as people start thinking about next year already, and Michael's going to have a lot of frustration with what happened this weekend. Whether he'll be pushing for them to change to the Bridgestone tyres, he'll see them having better traction around here, and Goodyear are a great company, they've won a lot of Grand Prix. I think they can come back and give their runners, Williams and Ferrari in particular, something better, but they're going to have to hurry up.
Right, let's have a quick word with Ross Brawn. Ross will give us the Ferrari view of things at the 56th Monaco Grand Prix.
Describe your weekend to me.
Well, apart from Eddie's third place, it's been disastrous. Obviously a lot of problems in practice, and then we were making some progress during the race, and Michael's accident with Wirtz broke a rear track rod. So that was really, in effect, the end of his race.
Tell us what was going on then. Michael came in, got out of the car, and then he got back in again. What was happening?
Well, it's always worth a try, because Monaco is such an unusual race. It may have rained, something may have happened. So we fixed the problem, which took 2 or 3 laps, and sent him out again. OK, now it's competition time. And watch very carefully if you want to win a great day out on July the 12th.
A helicopter ride to Silverstone kicks off one of the finest prizes in sport. First up, 2 VIP tickets, including a champagne reception at the RAC British Grand Prix. Then by helicopter to a nearby airport for a waiting private jet to take you and your lucky companion to the World Cup final at the Stade de France in Paris. So, question 1 was who missed the decisive penalty kick in the '94 final? A. Paolo Maldini, B. Roberto Baggio, or C. Nicola Berti? The second question was who was the only player to have scored in every match in the final stages of a World Cup? A. Jeff Hurst, B. Gerd Müller, or C. Jairzinho? And now today's question. How many times has Damon Hill won the British Grand Prix? 1, 2 or 3? How many times has Damon Hill won the British Grand Prix? 1, 2 or 3? The fourth question will appear at the next Grand Prix programme from Canada in a couple of weeks' time, along with a telephone number to call. You'll find full details on teletext, page 127, and good luck to you all. And a football reminder for you, you can see both England's matches in Casablanca this week. Join Bob Wilson at 10:40 on Wednesday for England-Morocco, the same time on Friday for England-Belgium. Tonight, highlights, reaction, more interviews from all of us here at 11:20. Canada, off we go, the normal ITV service. It's a late one qualifying, 12:45 on the Sunday morning. That's June the 7th. The race itself, 5:20, highlights at 11:45. A very quick headline from both of you about what we've seen. Martin.
Hakkinen's got a glimpse of his first World Championship. Coulthard and Schumacher throw caution to the wind. They've got to go for it.
Crushing double for McLaren. They won the Formula 3000 race with Heidfeld as well, but David Coulthard must bounce back.
And thank you both. So Mika Hakkinen has been here several times. It's been a miserable circuit for him until today. The Finn really tightening his grip on the World Championship. Mika Hakkinen, the big winner at Monte Carlo. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.